that two guys came together and talked and understood what they were, and they came to a reasoning, which really is what this is all about. You know, and that's what happened.
And there are political ramifications, because way back when this started, somebody made sure to confuse that kneel and the flag as being disrespectful. Kaepernick never said he hated the flag.
Not once.
Exactly.
Not once did he say that.
And don't, I hope people don't confuse the players speaking out and advocating peaceful protests and lump them in with those who are using violence and engaging in violence.
What's interesting about the violence
two.
You know, if you study,
separate the two. Yeah.
The violence thing, it's not always the people that are protesting quietly. There's things going on that I had
They're outside groups that we're learning about.
I had no idea it was these they're coming in from miles away.
And that's my point. Don't throw all these players and athletes and people into the same bucket and make them all sound as if they're doing the same thing and advocating violence.
In the sports world that we're talking about today, there is no greater relationships with race, religion, creed, money than sports. Do you understand? When somebody wins a championship, they don't look around and say, I think I'm going to hug that white guy over there. They are hugging the first teammate they find. There's nothing better in race relations.
And Fangio, it took him 40 years to become a head coach. In his mind, it's meritocracy.
Yes.
And Tony Dungy came to his aid and on one hand said there is meritocracy, but he thinks that Vic misses some of the finer points.
No, he did. He said the wrong word. He said it wrong again.
Tony Dungy is a voice of reason.
He's the best.
And try to put it in perspective of where Vic missed out on some things.
Yes.
But see, the recant is always a reaction to the reaction.
Yes, it is.
That's the key.
Now, Goodell, having said this, we all know about Jerry Jones. He's never listened to any commissioner or anyone else. He's made this statement. I think he's put himself on a spot that any of his players take a knee, they'll be gone. So what happens if it's Zeke Elliott or Dak Prescott?
Wait a minute. He's going to have to get rid of the whole team because there's not one guy listening to him right now.
Absolutely.
No,
I agree with you.
They're going down on their knee,
with you.
and they say, okay, you're going to bring in scabs. You're going to bring in a whole team because every black guy on the Dallas Cowboys and every white guy who believes like I do that everybody's worth $1 million is going to go down on their knee.
Well, just like he said, be careful what you say. Now he's put himself on the spot.
Yes. You know what I think is going to happen? I think we're all way off. I think they're going to play it when they're in the locker room.
Do you think
okay, now you bring that up because there was a time when they did that. However, now if they issue this and Goodell, let's say he says something in this fashion, after pregame warm-ups, when the teams leave the field and go in the locker room, then we'll play the national anthem. What if the 2000 NFL Players Association comes back and says that's tantamount to censorship, and some players want to be on a field when there's the playing of the national anthem? What does Goodell do? What does any coach do?
Goodell doesn't want anything like this going on. You understand? He's going to talk. He's talking to the black leaders of the NFL right now. How do we handle this best? What is the best way to handle this? Because he's already backed in the corner twice.
So can you guys see that as being a form, then interpreting that as a form of censorship? That we're only going to play the national anthem when you're in the locker room.
Yeah, I do. We played the national anthem for how many years since little guys. Play it, and if they want to kneel, let them kneel. I don't understand what the issue is about this. It's not about the flag. Please understand, it's nothing to do with the flag.
And it's a delicate situation because you have a war veteran like Alejandro Villanueva and others in the NFL. So if they want to stand and other players are going to take a knee, that has to be their choice. I heard a World War II veteran say one time the reason he fought World War II was for everyone to have a right to express themselves.
Yes.
He said, I'm against anyone burning the flag and not standing. But if that's, he said, I fought for all kinds of expressions.
I got two hands up on that.
That guy was amazing comment coming from a World War II.
I have two hands up on that. You're talking to somebody, that's my belief.
And I had 4 uncles that fought in World War II.
If you want to stand and salute the flag, that's your honor.
Which we'll do.
That's what you do. But if you want to kneel and say, I don't like what's going on in our country, that's their choice also. So hopefully that's where we're at. I'm hoping the awareness of what's going on will lead us to that.
Well, here's the other thing I want to say and bring in. Now, we have this mixture of politics and coaching. And coaches are going to be under more pressure than ever before at the collegiate and the pro level, not just for winning, but maintaining that locker room. You lose that locker room, you may never get it back. So if you have some players that are going to maybe want to stay out in the field during the time of the pledge, how are you going to handle that? Coaches are going to have to think this through. We already seen issues at Florida State and Coach Mike Norvell. George, you tell us what happened because you were pretty much on top of that story.
The short version was he said, I talked to all my guys, and he had sent a group text. And one of the players said, I never talked to the man. And I catch myself sometime. I'll say, I talked to Albert. Well, I really texted him. I don't know that his omission was intentional, but it caused some friction, and they since supposedly patched it over. But
that was one of the leaders in the locker room.
The 7 pick in the draft this year.
Their very best player,
Eddie.
Yes.
Yeah. Best player.
And then the other issues of alleged racism, an assistant coach at Clemson, a coach who was at Alabama when Dabo Swinney played there, and allegations of racism against Iowa's strength coach. Now, I haven't heard Dabo say anything, haven't heard Kirk Ferentz say anything. How about you guys?
Yeah, Dabo has.
Dabo has.
It's come out with a 14-minute video explaining what they believe in at Clemson, what they live for. There is not anything he's going to say, though, that justifies that word being said. I don't care. You know, there's
he was repeating it routine.
You can't.
We don't want to hear that.
There's no way about.
Does the university have to fire this guy?
They haven't fired him.
But do they have to?
In today's world, I think this guy could be in trouble. That's all, I'll say that.
And Ferentz is Teflon. Ferentz is old school Teflon. It doesn't matter what he does. You know, the Maryland coach was fired for a practice he wasn't attending. So if you use that same logic, Ferentz is responsible for what the Iowa strength coach says.
Yes.
And they don't know. I don't know exactly what the Iowa strength coach said.
Well, that's the argument. He's saying he didn't.
And yet we see when Jason Whitlock got let go after he was highly critical of LeBron James, saying it wasn't safe for him to leave his house, and he said, "You're no Muhammad Ali. You have a $500 million contract." 3 days later, he's off the air.
Well, if you believe what they say, now remember,
there was a contract dispute.
Well, they offered him 2 years at the same salary, and he refused it. That's what they say. Will Cain's headed to Fox, by the way.
Eddie, you've seen we spent now about 15 minutes talking about this. That's what I like.
Yes.
That it's not somebody in the corner talk. People are out talking about it, being aware. Every coach's meeting that's going to be said this year is going to be about, let's keep the locker room together.
Let's keep the locker room together. And coaches have to be very careful about not letting their political feelings
come through.
Can't be a part of it. They can't be a part of it. Can't be part of it at all.
Politics cannot be brought into the locker room. Now, easier said than done, once again. But you got to make sure you do.
And they have to have that discussion with their assistant coaches too.
Absolutely. Times have changed.
Situation. That's why I say it's never gone back. When people say, "Can't wait the sports get back to normal," that's a fantasy belief.
I honestly look for an extra coach to be hired to every staff dealing with this. That's what his job is going to be in the locker room. He's not a football person, not a basketball person. That's how serious this is right now. It's past our thoughts. You know, we're sitting here. We can't imagine.
It's very complicated, without question. College football and COVID-19. Alabama had 50 players on campus working out. 5 of them tested positive. Now what do? These 5 are being quarantined. Some are saying the other 45 need to be quarantined too. See, there we go again with that issue, and it's not even the season yet, and you know players are going to test positive during the season. 7 at Arkansas State, players at Oklahoma State, 2 Marshall players, and a staff member, and this is June.
George is the culprit on this one. George tells me, and George has a line for this one. George tells me about tackling and showering.
Yeah, you're not allowed to shower, but you can tackle. Now, I need an epidemiologist to. I think I understand a little bit.
We said before, we all played football. The two of us played college football. How many times guys threw up on a field, someone's blood was on you.
Yes,
your blood,
every day.
All the time. So I'm going to repeat myself about Mac Brown. We're either play or we don't play. There is no social distancing. That's the way it is.
Zero social distancing.
None. He says, I have 100 players in the locker room. How am I going to do this?
And you will know, when the students are all back in school, it makes it easy. There's nothing to worry about anymore. If I'm talking to you in the dorm that's close, then we're fine. So they're going to play. I believe, in my heart, Eddie.
They're going to play.
They're going to play.
How about fans?
Now, what did you tell me about the Ivies and Harvard?
No, Harvard's out. They're done. No school till December. They're not even coming back.
And no football.
Kiski's not
no
coming back.
Sports.
No.
But Kiski's online. But I talked to some athletic directors. I'm jumping ahead. Even if they go to online, they're still going to play. And some are offering where you could come to school, you could stay home, be taught online, or some combination thereof, or mixed schedules. So, but I haven't heard any AD that I talked to say, even if it's online instruction, that they will not have fall sports.
Well, the PIAA is coming out tomorrow. We're one day short here, saying what they expect and what they. So by next Tuesday, Eddie, we'll know exactly what Pennsylvania's going to say.
And all sports are important, but we know football, the band, the band, and everything.
Yeah, the band, the auxiliary stuff with football. And the other thing, too, these guys are looking around. Ohio passes a rule for basketball workouts, no passing. You must have your own ball. What, the Houston Rockets? What do you mean no passing?
And with that, AAU is playing basketball right now.
Sure they are.
You understand? So the high school coach is saying, wait a minute, I can't practice, but AAU's playing. This doesn't make sense to me.
And Pennsylvania baseball coaches are upset because the players are going over to Ohio and playing. And then when they try to start a league here, are they going to come back and play here?
No.
They're upset. And I can understand them being upset.
Yeah, I've talked to a league that I know personally that they only have 3 12-year-olds left. Every other 12-year-old went and played.
Field of Dreams or whatever.
Yeah, it's out someplace else because this league was not opening yet.
And when you're
so we want to play, so they
when
went to
you're
play
12 and Dad says you're going to Ohio to play, what are you going to do?
Parents rule. Today that is not changing.
Let's look at the financial situation here. I'm going to use Kent State as an example. The Golden Flashes were 7-6 last year. They returned one of the best quarterbacks in the MAC. Dustin Crum, who counted for over 3,000 yards passing and running, 30 touchdowns, a possible top 3 pick and wide receiver, Isaiah McKay. But listen to their schedule. September 5th at Penn State. September 19th at Kentucky. September 26th at Alabama. Brutal. But the payload for them is $5.3 million they rake in. That takes care of everything.
Hey,
they have a good team.
5.3 million reasons, and they all have George Washington's picture on them. They'll be game 4. They won't have enough guys left to line up against Bowling Green. They'll look like some MASH unit.
And they're going to be one of the better teams in the MAC with a lot of talent.
This is the first time they've turned it around. Won a bowl game last year. This is exciting for Kent State.
Right.
But everything we're talking about, football being played, not being played, it has nothing to do with the virus. It has to do with racism. It has to do with money.
That's all.
That's what it has to do with.
And Dick Stadium at Kent State holds 25,000. There's no way if they sold it out for every home game that they make $1 million.
No.
5.3 million, is that what you said?
5.3 from these 3 games.
Yeah. So the Kent State president right now is saying, I don't know about our students.
He said, I know, I'm getting new furniture. I know that's what
we're playing football.
Albert, it's true. We laugh, but it's true.
And the coach is going, okay, those 3 games.
Who made this schedule?
Who made this schedule? Can we surprise Penn State? Can we beat Kentucky? Then we have to go to Bama. Maybe Nick Saban, a Kent State grad, he'll take it easy on us. But the payroll's there, and the schedule, obviously, the rest of it's going to be like a breather for these kids.
But 2 thoughts on it. First, the money that you talked about. Secondly, every kid, though, now who's watching Kent State and says, wait a minute, we played Alabama, we played Penn. I want to go there. No, no, that's what kids who don't make it to Penn State.
Exactly.
They want to play against Penn State.
Beautiful.
They want to prove that they were wrong. So, it's going to help recruiting.
For our viewers, 2 years ago, BYU went into Nebraska, took a $2 million check and beat them. Now that's rubbing it.
That's the way to do it.
Yes.
Hey, National Hockey League, guys, tell me if I'm wrong. The Penn say they have one player, he's out of town, who has COVID-19, but they're not naming him. Oh, let's see. Who's out of town? Is Sydney out of town? Is this? Why? Why aren't you naming him?
Why?
What's the secret?
What is the secret?
Hippo.
That's why. Okay, there you go. George said it's
well, everyone else
the law.
are admitting
that's up to them. The most you'll ever get in hockey is upper body, lower body. That's full report.
So I cast like a shadow over every player.
Sure.
Yes.
Who has it?
Yes.
So you know what I've heard people say? Oh, it must be Sydney. That's why they won't say it. That's the conclusion that they come to.
That's what we would come to. If you don't see the name, you're thinking it's Malkin or Crosby. That's true.
And the Steelers' Marquise Pouncey said he has no fear of playing because there are no 60-year-olds playing football in the NFL, but he misses the point about contagion and how it spreads, and older coaches there or players. We know this in the NFL. There are players that have type 1 diabetes who have problems with bronchitis and things like that, or sickle cell, and can be very susceptible. Why doesn't he get this? He should get it. He should understand that.
He's one of the guys we talked about earlier in the show that speaks before he thinks. He's always done that. Pouncey just out and out says something without he doesn't realize the referees, the old trainer on the sideline.
No.
How about his mom and dad?
It's got old parents.
Yes.
And if you're Chris Letang, who had a stroke 5 years ago, do you play?
Tough decisions.
Do you play?
Tough decisions to be made every day. You're right, Eddie. Tough decisions.
But see, I don't feel as bad for professionals because they've chosen to do that for a living, and it's how they feed their family. I have trouble with the Tulane Green Wave because I'm not sure that right guard had a choice. Peer pressure at the very least.
And what about in the NBA saying coaches 65 and older, maybe they should stay home?
No, that's Popovich and Alvin Gentry. Alvin Gentry's late 60s.
And then you have in the NFL, Belichick's what, 66?
Yeah.
And Pete Carroll's 68.
Fangio.
There's some old timers there. There's some old timers. And
what do you do?
Most people have an individual thought with regards to coaching that they're going to coach. You understand? They're going to coach. Unless they're told you're not allowed, they're coaching.
Bill Bohr, an old timer, we came here together in '93. He's 87. He's on the field as we speak.
There's an example right there.
He wants to coach.
Ron Cook, last Sunday in PG Sports, I wrote an article and raised this question that maybe everyone's afraid to ask. What if someone dies? Player, coach, now what? Now what? Now what? Where do you go from there?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Eddie. Now what will be a lawsuit that you have never seen in the history of our sports if that happens to happen.
I think that's why some places they may say, even students coming back, you're coming back, you're going to have to sign this waiver.
I was told a long time ago those waivers mean
listen,
zero.
There's not a contract. There's no such thing as soundproof that a lawyer can't attack.
Good point.
Dana White had them all signed the last time they fought to not only nothing on the COVID, they weren't allowed to discuss the measures they took.
Hey, well, but there are 5 players at Alabama, and Nick Saban's 64 or 65 years old.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because we've never had to deal with this. People today are talking just like us three are talking. They don't know either, Eddie. That's the thing about the scientists don't know, the coaches don't know, the owners don't know. They're playing it by ear, and that's a scary thing when you're playing something by ear.
And I'm going to add to that. The scary thing is they all say, the experts, I'm not the epidemiologists, we're still in the first wave, first stage.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's all you can go by.
Now the Steelers are going to move their camp to Heinz Field. They said because of social distancing, bigger locker rooms, and then at the same time they say we may or may not have fans. Well, I think that's the reason why Goodell told them to stay out of their camps. They don't want the fans there in those camps all around the players. So they're going to tear Heinz Field they'll need to resod that about 4 times this year.
Well, with Pitt practicing at the same time, how can they not?
No, Pitt will be over at the facility where they have the combined
at the south
facility
side
with the Steelers.
And the Steelers are going to practice right at the stadium?
And the Steelers will be at Heinz
So
Field.
that's the plan they have in place.
Bigger
Thank you, Eddie.
locker room.
Well, let me ask you. Let's say your daughter goes to St. Vincent. It's okay for her to go back.
But I think what they don't want those crowds there and all those people coming back.
Don't allow the crowds.
That's what I would say.
Because they don't allow them to every practice.
No fans allowed, yes.
And then maybe, who knows, maybe 1 or 2 of those, like St. Norbert's for the Packers, and maybe someone else said they were concerned about having the pro teams there. I don't know. I'm not
Behind
sure.
the scenes things going on, Eddie, every minute.
And everyone's different.
There were 10 teams that left. And there were also that many that got together during the week when they had a scrimmage. That's why you used to see a lot of those fights and all, because about the 3rd day against them, they want to fight.
And the governor in Texas said they could have 50% fan attendance. That means that Cowboys can have 50,000 instead of 100. The Texas Rangers can have 20,000 instead of 40,000.
Yeah.
But no such determination has been made yet in many other states.
That's a key component in college football, Eddie. State to states change. Every state's going to be different.
But
and
see,
especially that conferences have teams in different states.
And
so we don't
the guy in Texas especially, he's pointing toward high school. He wants crowds at high school. You can see how he's maneuvering these numbers. A little league, Eddie, like the President's Conference, has teams in Ohio, West Virginia, and PA. So states adjusting is going to be interesting because look at West Virginia's league.
Well, just look at the Big Ten.
Exactly.
They're everywhere. The Big Ten's everywhere, yes.
The National Hockey League and the NBA, they're getting ready for a July start and playoffs. Major League Baseball, it's getting ugly. Now, from 110 game proposal to 82, then to 48. Now back up, the owners have said a 76 game schedule starting July 10th, ending on Halloween. That's open for a joke. 75% of salaries they'll cover if they make the postseason. 50% if there's no postseason. The owners will pay $393 million to postseason TV money and contribute $50 million to the players' pool, but the players have said no.
Well, Eddie, for the first time ever in my career of following sports, the fans are siding with the owners.
And they're going to turn on the players for this.
They're looking at the players and thinking, listen, you greedy, that you won't take $3.7 million and I'm trying to live off $27,000.
Yes. Yeah, something for the fans to remember. 60+% of the guys make under $1 million. See, they think they're all Mike Trout.
I'm one of them. That's what I'm saying. Because the average salary is $4.4 million.
Exactly.
So that means we have a upper tier and a lower tier in sports.
Hey guys, just want to finish in our final seconds before we wrap up. Rest in peace, Johnny Majors passed away at the age of 85. I remember it like it was yesterday when he came to Pitt and how he changed the culture there. And that 76 season, they'll never have another one as good as that one ever in the history of Pitt football.
Eddie, we're running out of time. Put that on the agenda for next time to start off our show.
I'd love to talk about that. That's it for us here from the Butler Cubs Athletic Association. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week.